Welcome back, friends, to Aunt Debbie's Boutique. We are continuing our series of potholders for gift giving and for ministry. If you want more information on how to start a potholder ministry, see the first video in this series. Also, I have showed different ways to bind these potholders in each video series, and from this point on I won't be showing any new methods, but you can choose whatever method you want to bind your potholders. Now mine are going to be contributed to a ministry, so I am probably going to do the method that I show you in the very first video. However, my mom has showed me a little bit quicker way of doing the loop on those, so I will be adding something new as far as how to do the loop on this one. You'll probably recognize these. These are our potholders we've already made, and today we're going to do another one, and it's going to be very simple but very cute. Let's turn over my dirty ironing board here. I'll give you a quick glimpse of what we're making today. You're going to need, and I did iron these, but it looks like they need ironing again, about a 9-inch piece of fabric for the back, an 8-inch square of Insulbright. That is the thermal baddie that we use in these. Here's the bag it comes in. It's often on sale at Hobby Lobby for 40% off, so that's a good time to buy it. Then you're going to need just 4 squares. You want 2 light and 2 dark that are coordinating fabrics. I'm going to give these, I starched these and ironed them earlier, but they've kind of been rumpled a little bit. And you're going to need about a yard of 2.5-inch strip, like a jelly roll strip, for doing the binding and the loop. Okay, let's get started. We are going to lay our fabrics out diagonally like this. I'm going to take them over to the sewing machine and put a 1/4-inch seam. And I've learned my lesson, so I don't get confused over there. Put a couple pins in before you take them over there. Sometimes I twist them around when I'm laying them down there, and I'll end up sewing the wrong edge together. So I'm going to sew these 2 seams. Then I'm going to bring it back over here and we'll iron those, and then we'll sew the middle seam. Okay, now I'm going to cut them apart. Better lay them out again here, make sure I sewed them right. Yes, so I'm going to iron this one to my left and the other one to my right. And I don't think I told you, but these are 6-inch squares. If we're going to cut about 1 inch off all the way around, I just like to allow extra. But if you think you can keep your seams perfect 1/4 inch, you could use just a 5-inch square. Now I'm going to put match the 2 seams up in the middle, and take it back over to the machine and sew this seam 1/4 inch. Now let's iron this to one side. It doesn't matter which side. Give it a good steam on this side. Now I'm going to line this up with this seam on this darker line here and this seam on the darker line there. Then I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to measure over 1.5 inches and put that right on that seam. And I'm going to cut straight through it. Then I'm going to do 1.5 inches to the other side. Then 1.5 inches from the center line, go in this direction, and 1.5 inches going down this direction. Okay, now we're going to take the middle block on each row and turn it around. Turn this one around, turn this one around, and turn this one around. Now we're going to sew this all back together. So I'm going to I'll sew it from this side. Put a couple pins in this. Then I want to make sure that I match up my seams here, and we've ironed them so that they are going opposite directions. Put that one there, this one here. These, the top and the bottom one, we don't have to match anything. We just want to make sure we've got it nice and square. Okay, I'm going to take this over the machine and sew down 1/4 inch here. Then I'm going to add this one to each block. Okay, let's flip this upside down. I'm going to iron all these pieces. I think it's going to be easier to turn it like this. These all going this way, and this one going that same direction. Then the one in the middle, I'm going to iron the opposite direction. I don't want to mess up the other seams. Now we're going to turn these, and I like to clip these threads when I do this part. And we're going to sew this one, and we want to make sure and line up our seams. There's 3 seams to line up. I'm going to do the same on this side. So let's go sew these two seams. Now, let's just iron these two center lines to each side. Let's flip it over and steam it really good. Check my corners. Most of them look pretty good. Now we want to trim this to an 8-inch block. So once again, I'm going to line this up on the center line, on this dark line, this center line, on this dark line. And I'm going to go over 4 inches on each side. So you can see we're cutting about 1 inch off. Well, I moved my potholder. I'll have to line it back up. Two, three, four, right there. Now we have our 8-inch block. We're going to center it on our block of Insulbrite. I'm going to use a little of my 505 temporary adhesive to hold it in place. I'm going to center it on our background fabric. See if I've got that right. I don't think it goes like that. Iron it just a little more. Keep it smooth while we're quilting it. This one is going to be easy to quilt because we can start and stop always on the edges. So we'll just quilt down these lines and down, sorry about that, down these 3 lines. And we'll be ready to do our binding. So let's go to the sewing machine and finish the quilting. Now let's give it a good press. trim it up one more time for an 8-inch block. We have our block done. Now, let's take our binding fabric I'm going to iron it in half. Fold over just a tiny little piece to get started. Take it over to the sewing machine and make a 1/4 inch seam, doing a 45-degree angle, then folding back with the edge. Do this all the way around. When I get to this end, I'm going to stop about here, and I'll show you how we do the loop from that point on. Okay, when we get here, we want to fold this piece back under like we're going to do when we stitch it down. Hold it real good there. And I'm going to stitch to the end there. Now let's go to the cutting table and I'll show you our next step. Okay, I want to cut about 4 more inches past this point. And here's where it's easier than the way I had you do it before. We're going to turn this out. Oh, I've got some stitching that came undone. I'm going to have to fix that. But we're going to fold that seam allowance in. And then fold it back over like we're doing when we sew our back. Iron. Now, I'm going to take it to the machine, and I'm going to stitch right down here. When I get to this point, I'm going to tuck this in and stitch just a little bit further. All right. And there is our loop. Now I want to iron this on the seam we made. Turn it to the back. Get a handful of clips. I'm going to clip it down, and then I'm going to come back with a needle and thread and hand stitch it with a blind stitch all the way around. Mitering our corners. Okay, I'm going to go hand stitch this, and then I'll show you our final product. Okay, here's our newest set of potholders. Thank you for joining me today, and come back tomorrow for day 6, I believe it'll be, of our potholder gift giving and ministry. If you would please subscribe, like, comment, whatever, I would appreciate it. It would help me to bring more videos. Remember, whatever you do, do it to the glory of the Lord.